Well, it looks like um, after things died down a little bit with the shooting yesterday, um, it looked like the only person that got killed was the shooter. Uh, they had one person, I think, that, or I didn't think the hip would have been such a problem, but it seems like there, there might be two people that are still in intensive care. We'll see what goes on with that. But after that died down a little bit, they were able to say some other stuff on the news, also about Trump and the government, and mainly that I guess they delivered Trump a birthday present. One is the FBI has been investigating him, um, or is officially saying they're investigating him. Um, they're saying it's because of the things and Trump's actions, and I guess he probably came out the gate and probably want to blame somebody for his behavior and his actions, um, when in reality the only problem is that he brags a lot. You know, he bragged about not paying taxes. Um, uh, um, and if it was all that cool, well, I don't know if it was all that cool, he wouldn't have a problem showing people his tax return. He's also getting sued by I forget how many people in I believe the Democrat about his making money off the Trump building. I can't think of the word now, but he's making money off of his place in Florida, his apartment in New York, his restaurants, his golf course. You know, over being president, and he has see his son-in-law was in China trying to get Chinese investors to invest in his property in exchange for them to get like a green card or something, which is something they need to get rid of. Um, but I think the most important thing about the situation that we had with Trump is that you see the Republicans holding him up like the great white hope. You know, um, the Republicans was acting like, I mean, because of the things they said when Obama first became president, they were like, oh, you're going to be a one-term president. And they pretty much stalled him all the way. And they, in all those years, were they doing any other planning, any other thinking? Uh, or were they just getting money from the different lobbyists? But you could see with Trump uh, immediately being in bed with Russia. Forget about the Russian spy ship that was sitting over there off the side of the Atlantic. When he was running back and forth to Florida. You know, um, uh, um, he, his people. The more they do investigation, the more we find that that looks like they were laundering money for Russia. It looks like they were doing different type of con games. It actually looks like they was using Trump and his family as some fools because they was able to filter $1 billion like right through their hands. Um, that money should have stayed in the United States. Trump does not have no concept. Yeah, sure, he made like less than a quarter of a million on it, but they made $1 billion. And, I guess that's better than nothing for him. But he's been in his private life. He's done more damage uh, um, for his own self than he has done good. And then in his political life now, it seems like he's going to do a lot more damage because you see the Republicans, they're like, oh, we don't want anybody to know about how we're doing the health bill. They have at their fingertips some of the brightest, smartest people that are working in government that they could utilize. But they don't want to utilize it because, first of all, to justify them only thinking in this tunnel vision, everybody else has to be a fool or stupid. You got to point out other people's faults. And so why they're busy doing that and judging everybody else, you don't have time really to think new, to be inventive, to comprehend the big picture, and to understand that if I take all the money, more money out of the schools, more money out of the social programs like Social Security and Medicare, that we are endangering the security of the United States, that we are making America more vulnerable to outside tragedy. I don't know what they might want to bring. Russia and China probably don't want to bring too much over here. Russia likes to have war. That's the only thing. Like you can see, like that in Turkey. The first reaction of that guy that came in, that whatever he's what they represent as a president of Turkey, when he was over here talking to Trump, and they start beating on American citizens. What I'm saying, Turkey doesn't have respect, at least not the people in high position. That shows a very disrespectful for your own fucking self, that you don't know how to interact with your with other citizens, that everything has to be a negative, that everybody's out to get you. That's the way the Republicans are. Now they're thinking, because of their behavior was so disgusting, so anti-American, and is so stagnating during Obama's thing, that the Democrats is going to be like that. Why should they when you're going to be hanging yourself? Because you're going to be so paranoid. You're going to continue the same destructive behavior. It didn't benefit the people that you represent in your community. You can look at Kansas. Kansas, I lived there for 20 years. Kansas, when I first out there, was pretty decent, had pretty good money. They started being real racist and going along with a bunch of Republican type of negative stuff, like, yeah, oh, well, the poor could, if the poor, if they would only get a job, if the homeless would only go in the house, and like anybody that's been in a situation like that, that if you're poor, your electric bill, you still want to have electricity, right? Because you got to, like, if nothing else, you still want to have food, you want to keep it, right? So you're going to have electricity, you're going to have food, you still have to have clothes, because you can't go out in society buck ass naked. There's just certain things that you're going to have. I hear people criticizing about, well, they can afford to go get their hair done. Those ladies keep those hair extensions in their hair, 4 to 6 months, so where a lot of them that are my age, that it's been pulled out. Oh. But and then like another thing is if like say if you're homeless, and say you got a job, but you're gonna have to have a deposit for month rent, you're gonna have to have a deposit for probably electricity, right? And then you have to also worry about supplying the place. So, really, like if you're homeless, you get a job or whatever, you're gonna have to really make to really move into a place. You're gonna have to be able to save up, and most people don't know how to save up, or it's impossible because you still have to your day to day living, and one of the first things they do is go ahead and get them a hotel room, because they don't have to pay a deposit, or electricity. They can move in, but and these are futile attempts to try. And then so what if, say, like you was homeless and you get some food stamps, you know does that put a burden on the rest of the community? No. Say you work 35 years and you paid into the Social Security, you should be entitled to get the money back, like they promised that you're going to get back. Either if you get injured or if you get 62 or over, and because you already paid into it, so they want to redirect that money to give to the filthy rich, so that we will then look like a third world country. Where we don't have or but anyway, I think that now is the time for our government to rethink the way they're doing their policies, the way um the way that you know they need to follow where our money goes in the United States a little bit better and try to redirect it back here. You know, um, well, I think like Spanish, like the Mexicans are probably very surprised to find out that as much as racist as Mexicans are against black people, that's you times that by 100 how white people feel about Mexicans. You're too close to being white for them. That's why they don't want you up here. They don't want. They don't want that. The white people here, they want white people from European mixture. They don't want South America white people mixture. Matter of fact, matter of fact, the only thing I can say really about Trump and his administration is they have to go, because so far in the short time that they've been here, or that he's been president, he has not done a presidential thing. Um, uh, 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 if you can't, what I'm saying, if you can't do it in the light, you're gonna fumble in the dark. If you can't go to experts and um, find knowledge and wisdom to guide this country, then we'll have chaos. We don't necessarily have to have a war here. Maybe that's not the best interests of our enemies. You know, and since Russia's always been an enemy of us, his best interest is for him to continue just to drain money out. Because Putin is just act like a old played out pimp. You know, and Russia is nothing really for America to want to emulate. Um, they have not invested in their people. They try to find shortcuts and being sneaky and conniving. Like in the Olympics, they got to use steroids. The importance that you put on the Olympics for a short few years of a child's life, that you're going to ruin it to look at the big picture. They don't look at the big picture. The United States could be a leader right now and renewable and going green. Um, we could turn our economy around, but right now our dollar is based on the oil, so we really can't do that. But there is ways to do that. The same way they made decisions before, um, and that's the number one reason why now. But as you can see, you know, it reminds me that the picture that was predicted, where the United States had a choice, where we could have been basically, like people now they're like, oh, it has to be a flying car. They didn't see flying cars or have to compete with something. It was all about that the best way and the safest way to move a person from A to B. And it would be a helicopter thing because they go straight up, straight down. You wouldn't have to have all these pavement roads that heat up the earth more, reflecting heat off and and cut down all the trees that was lining the dirt road. So it's not just our cars. It's not just our nuclear plants that put out pollution and our coal plants that put out pollution. It is also uh, um, the roads that we have to maintain, the bridges that we have to maintain, the material that we maintain it with to keep these cars, trucks on the road that also tributes to the heating of the earth along with the carbon dioxide. So if we was going to be a more inventive, more survival mode, more of humane road, uh, we would have to invest in our children, and we'd have to, just keep rolling in the billions. It maybe wouldn't be so few that have all the money, but it'll be more that have money. Not as much as like the Oprahs and the Jay-Z's. Maybe they won't have like that type, but it'll be on a better than the middle class look to be predicted to be looking like in the 60s, more productive, and maybe the grocery stores wouldn't look the same if you were more green-minded and more thinking about the health of your children. You might have more little greenhouses on rooftops, balconies, and apartments. You know, or greenhouses on rooftops and balconies and apartments. Have more people with yards with a little victory garden or a little. But like I hear mothers like these mothers now, they're like, oh, well, my kid ain't gonna eat that. My kid ain't gonna eat that. They'll eat whatever you teach them to eat. That's a simple fact. You know. Um, and to be honest with you, like we used to call like apples and oranges and carrots and you know grapes and raisins finger food. Kids can pick them up when they start like when they get that age when they're starting to eat like salads, chicken legs. All those was like finger food. They pick it up with their hand. You know, they could eat the carrots. They could eat the broccoli. They could eat the cauliflower. They could eat it raw. You know, all you have to do is break it apart like a cauliflower or something. Rinse it really good. Shake it a little bit. Get all the extra water off and give it to them. You want to have a fancy day? You can either introduce them to dressing or not introduce them to dressing. But they could eat those things. And they would. And it was a lot less messier. A kid throwing a whole carrot or a kid throwing an apple, opposed to them, I don't even know what the roll-on noodles. Throw that MSG. Anyway, it looks like if we don't change the way we're thinking, we will go the way that a lot of great nations and countries have went, and that's to impale. That's to fall out of power, uh, to disappear into history. We're not going to be able to erase Obama's presidency, but we might be able to erase the United States legacy. And I think that that's where the Republicans are going. And I think that with or without Trump, and we have to continue without Trump, because I don't think Trump is the biggest fool. I think he might have some dementia. He's 71 years old, but I think that he's greedy. It's all about the dollar for him. And I think he's a sex pervert. Uh, and I don't think he has respect for women. And he sure in the hell don't have respect for himself, because he wouldn't walk around with that orange skin, crazy looking hair, and thinking he has to buy a fucking woman. Oh, he looked like he just. I'm sorry, but Ivanka looked like he just scraped the bottom out of the septic pool over in Russia. You know what I'm saying? And there she is. And, he probably let her know this as much now anyway. You know what I'm saying? He could have got an American woman. Shit. They breed hoes here too. But, our White House looks like we have a president that is trying to stop the investigation because he has something to hide. And he has something to hide because he's been getting a lot of his backing from China and from Russia. And China and Russia don't have the best interests of the American citizens. But they could buy our policy. Basically they bought fucking Trump. Trump ain't nothing but I wouldn't even say they're puppet. They're slave. They're the slave master to him.